Okay, good morning, everybody. Nice to be here after a couple of years. So I'm going to talk very generally on shipping decarbonization. And let's see first what the major challenges are. Some have already been mentioned, so I will borrow time from the previous speakers. The new challenges are mainly the Fit for 55 from the EU, which has a lot of directives and regulations. And the more maritime related, as earlier mentioned also, are the Energy Taxation Directive, the infamous AFIR regulation, the Fuel EU Maritime, and the ETS. They have very specific things that are about them, but they're very important because they affect shipping a lot. Especially the EU ETS has been long discussed. It has many problems. For example, I will just mention that although biofuels, for example, are considered to be green fuels on a life cycle basis, for EU ETS they will not deliver any allowances because from the tank to wake they produce CO2. So this is a problem for EU ETS and it has to be taken into account. There are quite a few measures to meet these challenges. I will not go into details, but I will just mention a few of those. First of all is the alternative fuels, the new fuels. I have here a table that's borrowed from DMV, and it has a matrix of all the available fuels for shipping depending on criteria such as availability, infrastructure and storage, maturity of technology, energy density, price and credentials. And as you see, the greener ones are the most difficult ones to implement for various reasons. We still don't know which fuel will prevail, but obviously it will depend very much on the sector and the specific project. In general, fuels have three colors: gray, blue and green, depending on the way they are produced. Fossil fuels are traditionally gray. They are produced by using a lot of energy that produces a lot of CO2. If we capture the CO2, we have them as blue. And if they are produced by sources of energy that are renewables, then they are considered green. There are also other colors. For example, if they're produced by nuclear power, then they're considered pink. But I will not go into all these details. In theory, there are three colors of alternative fuels to consider. And of course, we have the fuels of the future, the electrofuels that are produced by energy from renewable energy sources. And then we add the CO2 that has been somehow captured, and we have these synthetic fuels that are very, very green on a life cycle basis. Another set of measures that apply for greening shipping is areas like ship decarbonization, energy management in ships and ports, waste heat recovery measures on ships and ports, and on ports we also have co-production, and then of course the modern ship design that will also give an emphasis on energy saving. I have here also a borrowed slide about every measure that can be applied on a modern ship, from exhaust gas scrubbers and interventions in the propeller, in the hydrodynamics of the ship, but also other measures like improved hull design, air lubrication, a rig sail system, kite sail system, a ship without a balance. All these are measures that can be considered on a way to a green ship. And of course, as we said earlier, a ship is not alone. It's part of a ship port system, and a lot of the decarbonization will have to happen on the part of the port. The port will have to become energy hubs, managing the flow of energy from shore to ship and back, starting from shoreside electricity to more elaborate techniques. So modern ports have a lot of challenges as well. We're talking about charging vessels, electric bunkering for the smaller electric vessels. We're talking about trading credits with the ETS system, integrate their electrical grid to the grid of the city where they're located, and many other activities like even charging electrical vehicles. The start is shoreside electricity, but that's only the start. Of course, the energy produced in ports and the energy sold to vessels will have to come eventually from renewable energy sources like wave generation or wind generation from offshore wind farms. And this is the idea of a port of the future. Then, of course, we have to apply measures that are related to the monitoring and measuring of the emissions so that we know exactly what we are abating, management of every environmental pressure, and also enforce other anti-pollution technologies. Digitalization will play an important role in decarbonizing shipping. This refers not only to a digital twin of ship operations or of port operations, but also to monitoring and translating, interpreting the information of all the data we have. And of course, autonomous navigation will also play a major role. And one item that's very, with little letters here, traffic management, which was also earlier mentioned, sea traffic management and weather routing and routing in general will also play a very major role. Of course, we cannot go into all the details in this very short presentation, and I have a lot of time left. That's good. Circular economy also plays a very important role in shipping, and that refers not only to the part of the fuel, but also to the vessel itself. The green ship recycling regulations like the Hong Kong Amendment and the Basel Amendment, this will be applied and will also apply to the vessel on a life cycle basis. So also the design of the vessel will be affected. Biofuels, as a result of using the waste from other industries, will also be a major part in the future. And of course, synergies in the port like industrial symbiosis and life cycle analysis of every operation and of every technology installed on a vessel will also be a major step. All these issues have to be taken into account. What has to be realized is that shipping is not one industry. Shipping has a lot of sectors. We have short sea shipping. We have very small vessels that are very important for small connections here in some places in the Baltics and in the UK, in the north of the UK, where we have very small connections. These play, in Norway for example, these play an important role, and they need different decarbonization measures. For example, electricity or hydrogen compressed, or even liquid as earlier suggested. But there are also the ocean-going vessels that will have to be decarbonized in a different way, mainly through biofuels or some other alternative fuels. We have all these measures that have to be applied in different sectors: tugboats, port operations, ferries, coastal ferries. These are different sectors that require different measures, so the roadmap is not one for all of shipping, and this has to be realized. A different set of measures and combinations will have to be applied in different areas of shipping. And eventually, as I understand the policy is, we have to render ships to filters that will take all the polluted air and bring out all the clean air to the atmosphere. I think this is the aim of the policymakers. Thank you very much.